Welcome back, y'all. It's time for more youth group horror stories. Since some of you are new to the channel, I'll introduce myself. I am Drew, and this is my wife, Taylor. And we are ex-evangelicals. I'm an atheist. She's a Satanist. And this is where we talk about stuff. All right, let's go. Everything I'll read here is fan-submitted. Everything is from comments on my YouTube channel. So let's get into it. My Christian youth group had a 40-hour famine where kids 13 to 18 would not eat for 40 hours and have Bible stories drilled into them. A few kids would throw up, and most of us wanted to sleep because of how hungry we were. I did this at 14, 15, and 17. We would race to find Bible passages, remembering talking points for conversion, and sing worship songs. We have sermons, played some physical games, which was hard for a bunch of hungry kids. I remember being pulled into it after school, having already not eaten all day. That was when I was 14 and had another 12 hours on top of the required 40. A few of the leaders had their younger kids there, around 7 to 11, I believe. I don't know if they got fed. They were just there because they couldn't be home alone while their parents went to starve children.
Holy shit.
We fasted sometimes, but not for 40 hours. Yeah. That's too much for a kid.
That's child abuse.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
I think it even gets worse, though.
Okay.
On a different overnight, once everyone went to bed, the leaders in the middle of the night smashed through the doors to simulate a fake kidnapping sort of thing because white Christians are constantly oppressed. They had all the kids sleep in tents outside, being constantly watched. Then the next day sent all the boys to do yard work and the girls to do house cleaning and cook for them. The whole point of the night was to try to terrify the kids and make them think someone will burst through their doors and take them away. It really hurts a lot of the younger kids. Some of the younger teenage girls who already had rational fears for safety were absolutely terrified having people they trust tell them this could happen to them.
I know the point was to be like, this could happen to you because white Christians in particular are being persecuted. But were they supposed to do anything? Were they just supposed to accept it?
Yeah. So I've heard of several different ways that this can go. And one, I should say that this is often inspired by a kind of Islamophobic reaction to the war on terror and to 9/11. Oh, Muslims are going to come to the country and they're going to kidnap all of our white women and our kids and do blah, blah, blah. That's usually where this kidnapping fantasy comes from. And a lot of the time you were supposed to refuse to deny the faith or to convert to Islam.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was a particular thing here, but I have absolutely heard that be a thing.
Because I grew up being taught that if someone held a gun to your head and asked if you believe in God, and this is all based on the completely fake Cassie Bernal thing, but that you're supposed to say yes because you're supposed to be willing to die for God and not turn your back on him. But I did not ever have this happen to me where they actually fake being kidnapped and stuff. That's, again, straight up child abuse.
They want you to be afraid of other people kidnapping you and abusing you, but they do it. How is that better? It's not.
Maybe it's just so that it's so that you're desensitized to it. And just to think that violence is normal.
Speaking of that, this is in reference to our last video about this. Taylor's refrain about it all sounding like assault and other stuff is something I only recognize through therapy. This is an actual conversation snippet between my therapist and I. Me. So yeah, they would have us drive around in a church van and you would grab people who were skipping youth group and put them in the van to go to church. Therapist. That's kidnapping. You're describing kidnapping. Your church had children kidnapping children. Me. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely kidnapping. And I think for a lot of us that grew up in conservative forms of Christianity will look back on these experiences and not really realize how traumatizing or not be able to put into words what they actually were. In this case, it's actual kidnapping until we say it out loud or have somebody for me, it's particularly when I have somebody else repeat it back to me and I'm like,
yeah,
oh wait, that's like really fucked up.
Yeah. Now, sometimes when we cover these stories, people don't believe this because it sounds so absurd. But I actually found something on Instagram today that I think shows you just a tiny snippet of the reality that is this.
Okay.
Hey, you want to come Maple Friday? I don't have a Bible. Hey, do you want to come Maple Friday? I don't have a friend. Hey, do you want to come Maple Friday? I don't have a ride.
Go, 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 go!
It's time for you to say yes to Jesus. Come to you this Friday.
That's just completely normalizing like coercion and like kidnapping and
Yeah.
like it doesn't matter if they don't actually want to go. Like you need to force them there and by any means necessary.
I think if they're willing to show this and act like it's a joke, to put a plastic bag over somebody's head and throw them in the back of a truck, what are they willing to do when they're not filming?
Yeah.
Pretend that, certain types of Christians are being oppressed and simulate kidnappings and abuse so that the people will be prepared for it when, Muslims do it. Okay, slightly longer one here, but it's pretty wild. I had to be around 13 to 15 years old when this happened. I'm now 30 and still vividly remember this. Don't think I'll ever forget it. Youth pastor gave his normal once-a-week sermon. He did so every Tuesday or Wednesday night. He didn't use props or anything. It was a small church with a budget. I remember this particular sermon because it was weird. They clearly had spent more money on this one. Everything started out normal enough, but about halfway through this one particular session, there was suddenly a squeaky, clanking sound of old metallic wheels turning. It filled the area and everyone was looking around, confused by the sound, as it clearly wasn't the pastor, nor was it the worship team. Then we saw it. A full adult-sized coffin was rolled from the wings directly onto the main stage. Dusty and dark gray, the thing had clearly seen better days. It looked as if it had been ignored for decades, like it hadn't been touched for at least a millennia. The hard, cracked leather exterior would have looked nice had it been shined up, the layers of dust shoved off, the brass buttons lining the lid cleaned up. There were a variety of bright, multicolored band stickers plastered all over the lid, all so old, so waterlogged, weather-exposed, sun-bleached, and covered in a thick layer of dust that I couldn't make out any of the band names or design. Initially, the coffin remained tightly closed and shut, and the pastor continued his spiel. No one was really paying attention anymore, though. He finally opened just the top half, but it had been placed at just the right angle so none of the audience could see what was inside. The pastor finished up the sermon. One by one, we were all then instructed to line up, each told to silently walk on stage, stare into the coffin, grab whatever it was that had been placed in there, whichever one spoke to us, according to the youth pastor, walk off stage, go back to our seat, and say nothing the entire time to anyone about the entire experience until after the service had ended with the worship team closing us out as usual. All of us did as was asked of us. I watched as my friends each did their own thing ahead of me, still unsure of what was going to happen, and then it was finally my turn to go. I was toward the middle of the group. I walked up the steps onto the stage, heart pounding in my chest, wondering if a real dead body would be in the coffin. I took a deep breath and stared into it and was surprised to see my own reflection staring back at me. There was a very large mirror mounted to the inside of the coffin lid. There were some small blurbs of text attached next to it that said something about how everyone alive will die someday. So we should make the most of this life that we have now and not squander our lives away on rampant sex, drugs, smoking, tobacco, nicotine, occultism, alcohol, and partying. So far, I didn't see much problem with it, even though it was a little heavy-handed. No. The fucked up part was what was yet to happen.
Thought that was the fucked up part.
I was then instructed to reach into the bottom half of the coffin and pull something out. It was dimly lit, so I couldn't see anything there, but I did as instructed anyways. It was a flimsy square piece of paper. I observed what was printed on it, a date, a cancer diagnosis, and a photocopy of a girl my age wearing a pink beanie, smiling as best she could at the camera. She looked to be in a lot of pain, but was smiling through it. The instructions on the back of the photo were clear. I was to pray for this girl's childhood cancer to go away as constantly as I could. The photo recommended once a day minimum. And if my faith and prayers were frequent and strong enough, she would live. She wouldn't need the coffin sitting on the stage.
Oh my God. Wow, that took
Yeah.
a turn that I wasn't expecting. Like I was expecting it just to be like, oh, just, like remember that you will die and like you need to put certain things aside or something. But I didn't think that, wow.
Yeah, way to saddle a kid with an amount of moral
Guilt.
responsibility that is impossible to actually like live up to.
Yeah.
Because if the person does die, then
It's
that
like-
sets the kid up to blame themselves.
I'm like, oh, my faith wasn't strong enough.
Yeah.
I didn't pray enough. I should have prayed one more time and that
Yeah.
would have done it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's psychological torture.
Yeah,
that is
yeah,
that
for
is
sure.
abuse. Okay, somewhat of a palate cleanser because that one was so serious. Not me, but a friend of mine went to church camp and she was lactose intolerant, but she ate something with lactose in it and it upset her stomach. However, her friend and some youth leaders decided that the reason she wasn't feeling good was that she actually was possessed by demons. What's that rumbling deep inside you? I can hear the demons conversing. Another on the demons. I wouldn't say horror, just a deep, uncomfortable situation. I was 12. I was caught watching adult movies. My grandmother told damn near everybody in the family and in the church. Because of that, I had to start going to youth group / Saturday church led by my cousin or uncle. On the first day, they sat me down, surrounded by my other cousins, talked about what I did, and how that because I was officially past the age of accountability, if I didn't repent, I'd be sent to hell, surrounded by burning, rotting corpses for the rest of eternity.
Wow.
Trauma. Yes, I would say that's trauma. Then followed some weekly counseling by my grandmother's sister, who was the evangelist at the church, where I had to read her book, Out of Me Went 43 Demons, and put up with the lectures on changing my life lest I end up like her.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Again, like I've talked about it on my channel, how it is abuse to be taught about demons and how that happened to me. This is another version of that.
Yeah.
Like teaching kids that there's supernatural, like invincible, invisible, supremely evil monsters everywhere and that everything that you do is linked to them somehow. That's abuse.
Yeah.
I think the person probably overcame that though because their screen name is Alistair's Shadow Demon. I think they probably came out of that.
I mean, it's awful to think, like, I'm assuming I was caught watching adult movies and they were 12. So they probably had just started watching adult movies. And just to think, like, to have to go through all that trauma and, like, they're going to watch adult movies again because that's what you do as a human being. Humans like to watch that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just like to think, I wonder for this person, how much longer did they have that, like, just reoccurring trauma every single time they watched an adult movie and like just the guilt that came with that.
Yeah. All right. We'll end this with a classic purity culture.
Oh,
one.
great.
When I was 13, I went on a missions trip with my Baptist church. I went by myself and was hosted by other families that went. One of the deacons was fully creeping on me. Comments on my lip gloss, my hair, how pretty and mature I was at 13.
That's like that's a red flag that somebody is a weirdo when they like say like, oh, you're so mature for your age.
Oh yeah. Long hugs, etc. Always trying to get me into his car and do work alone with him. I wrote everything down and kept detailed records. It was highly uncomfortable for me. I'm glad you kept those records.
Yeah.
9 days into the 14-day trip, the pastor's wife took me aside and told me that my outfits were causing the deacon to stumble.
I'm sorry, what?
A sweatshirt and capri pants and my makeup was too much. Clear lip gloss and mascara. They sent me home early. When I got back the following Sunday, the pastor and his wife had a meeting with my mother, telling her about how I was showing signs of promiscuity and causing these 50-plus-year-old men to stumble.
Oh my God.
We never went back to that church. My mother is a very evangelical Baptist, but even she was disappointed with them.
Yeah. Well, thank God.
The evil pants in question, they were my mom's pants.
Oh my God.
The guy is now a bishop there 13 years later.
You know that this guy has,
skeletons in his closet,
Yes,
if not children.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so sorry. That's insane.
The wild thing to me is that so many people, including his wife, knew that he was a predator.
And rationalized it as like, oh,
as a
it's
child.
the kid's fault.
Yeah.
Because they were wearing what? Jeans and a sweatshirt? And clear lip gloss?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely regardless. If you're into a 13-year-old, That's a you problem
Yeah.
always.
Yes, no exceptions.
All right, just a relatively short one for you guys today. Thank you for watching. We don't have a sign off. We still have that's the sign off now. We don't have a sign off. I will ask, what other stuff do you guys want to see from the second channel?
Yeah.
Let me know. And okay, they liked this last time. Say the first word that pops into your head. 3, 2, 1. SpaghettiOs.
PDF file.
Great. And just because you guys like seeing him, we have the piggy taco again. He's tired. It is a little bit late. I'm going to go take him out to go poop now.